Hi, everyone. I'm Brandon Foster, the managing editor of the Casper Star-Tribune. I'm joined today by Morgan Hughes and Nick Reynolds, a couple reporters at the Star-Tribune, and we'll be discussing how everything went yesterday locally and statewide in the 2020 general election. Morgan is our education and health reporter and has also spent some time covering the local government beat here at the Star-Tribune, and Nick is our statewide government reporter. Morgan, we'll start with you. From what I heard yesterday, I chatted briefly with Natrona County Clerk Tracy Good. She said things had gone pretty smoothly locally at the polls, despite some really long lines. She had not heard anything as far as complaints about anything too negative going on. Definitely a busy week, it sounds like, on their end, but overall, sounds like things went smoothly. I know you were at the polls for most of the day yesterday, chatting with voters. Can you just take us through kind of what the experience was like and, some things that you noticed?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely say it seemed like things went really smoothly in Natrona County yesterday. There were lines at a lot of polling places in the morning and in the evening. Around lunchtime, things seemed to slow down quite a bit. But even with the long lines, nobody who I spoke to waited more than 15 minutes to vote. So it still moved pretty quickly. Turnout in Natrona County was also very high. More than 35,000 ballots were cast in the county, which is 2,000 more than in 2016. Though voter turnout, the percentage was just slightly lower than in 2016. As far as what kind of motivated voters to get out yesterday, concerns about the future of energy was probably one of the most heard things yesterday. A lot of people we spoke with have family or friends who work in oil and coal, and express concern that a Biden victory would affect their family's livelihood in the future. Religious convictions were also a big motivator. Abortion came up a lot as a reason that a lot of people were supportive of Trump. We also spoke to a handful of first-time voters, and that was interesting too to hear the range. Of the first-time voters we spoke to, they ranged in their support from Trump to Biden to third party. So that was interesting to see a lot of folks, voting for the first time with their parents or other family members.
Cool. Yeah, and obviously a very different election as far as how many people were voting absentee or voting by mail. Just from the local perspective, at least, it sounds like that was a whole lot of work, but also went pretty smoothly. I know Tracy from Natrona County said there were about 10,000 more absentee votes than there were in 2016 or 2018, but they were still able to kind of get them all into the machines and counted by around 5 o'clock yesterday, which kind of, I think, shows how unique Wyoming could be as a state, as we spent all night, hearing about other states that also weren't able to start counting those votes until Election Day, and maybe still are counting them, but Wyoming was able to wrap that up pretty much on time. So, Nick, I know you also talked to the state secretary of state and sounded like overall, maybe with the exception of Sweetwater County, things went pretty smooth statewide as well, as far as, how the polls went. Can you kind of take us through a little bit more about what people voted for yesterday on the state level? What were some of the ramifications of, the election? And overall, it sounds like a pretty strong day for the Republicans.
It was a huge day for the Republicans. We could say historic, in fact. Sweetwater County, which has consistently been a bellwether for Democratic candidates over the last several decades now, they've consistently elected Democrats to the state legislature despite trending heavily Republican, mostly for union affiliations, that sort of thing. But last night we saw the ousting of two very popular incumbents, Democrats Lisa and Snowmy Dalton and Stan Blake, by a Libertarian and a Republican respectively. We also saw the flipping of a seat long held by Democrat John Freeman, a school teacher in Green River, by a significant margin to Republican Mark Baker, who had a significant amount of backing from a number of very high-level state GOP donors. I actually spoke to the chair of the Sweetwater County GOP this morning, and apparently enthusiasm for Trump was the main driver of those. Those are both very popular incumbents, and we kind of saw similar trend play out across the state. We actually had record turnout last night, according to the numbers that I just pulled together. In 2016, voting age turnout was about 58%. This year that went up to 62%. And that resulted in a commensurate boost for President Donald Trump in the election as well. He finished with about 67% in 2016, and last night he took about 71% of the vote in Wyoming. So pretty significant bump for Donald Trump voters last night, and that resulted in a big boost for down ballot candidates as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, as of our recording this, it looks like the Democrats may have actually altogether only won 2 races, period, last night at the state level. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I believe it was Andy Clifford, and then Carly Provenza hasn't been called yet, but is ahead in Laramie. Morgan, to kind of turn it back to the local side, obviously a whole lot of down ballot races going on. I personally love to spend the whole time talking about Amendment A, but I think we'll it looks like that one is close to passing, but a very close race. But anyway, that was the only constitutional amendment on the ballot. But as far as the local races, City Council and Natrona County Commission, how did those turn out yesterday, Morgan?
Yeah, so I'll start with the Natrona County Commissioner race, and that honestly panned out how it was kind of expected. There were 2 Republican candidates and 1 Democratic candidate. Republicans, Brick Hoffman and Dave North, won the election, and it had seemed at the primary that they were going to just slide through, but Terry Wingert actually received enough write-in votes in the primary to make the general at least, competitive. But Brooke and Dave did end up winning those seats. So Brooke is a sitting commissioner, but Dave will take his seat in January. So it really shouldn't affect the makeup of the commission too dramatically. At the city council level, that's a totally different story, actually. So there were 5, open or vulnerable seats, and one incumbent, Steve Cathy, kept his seat, but otherwise there will be 4 new faces on the city council come January, and so 2 more women. Right now, there's only 1 woman, Vice Mayor Kristen Lutz, who's on the council. So 2 more women, and then young professionals also had a victory last night. So it definitely skews the council younger and slightly more diverse. And I think it will probably move the council toward a little bit more of a moderate philosophy as well. Even though it's a nonpartisan council, I think as far as the political ideologies, there's probably a little bit more balance now as well.
Gotcha. And obviously, diversity was a theme on the national level for Wyoming as well last night, with Cynthia Lummis becoming Wyoming's first woman senator, and she'll join obviously Liz Cheney, who won her election handily as well. 2 of the 3 members of the Wyoming delegation will all be women in Washington. So another kind of trend that we noticed last night. So yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. Obviously, there's a million more things we could discuss about Election Day and the aftermath. So for that, please head over to trib.com to check out everything from yesterday and pick up a copy of today's Star-Tribune in print. A lot of the things we're talking about, we got a little bit more in depth on in print, and we'll be following up on today as well. So I think that covers it. Signing off for Morgan Hughes and Nick Reynolds, I'm Brandon Foster. Thank you guys for watching.